Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future homebuyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of home ownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923, AnyMac Home Mortgage, an equal housing lender, American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC, DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage, LoFi Direct, Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent, License Lender, Broker Number, ML 338923, Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License Number, MC 338923, Rhode Island License Lender, License Number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Welcome to Sports Talk with R&J. I'm Steve Risser, along here with Justin and Alfio, and we hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. We hope everybody is having a great. I hope everyone is enjoying the holiday season. And yesterday was Christmas. We had a full slate of NBA games, but we'll start with the NFL yesterday and what happened. And yesterday, I think you pretty much in the AFC, the pretenders and the contenders were separated. You saw the Chiefs; they look like the favorite to win their third straight Super Bowl. They were outstanding yesterday. The Ravens, they look like a real. They look like they're going to be a challenger to the Chiefs in the playoffs. They looked really strong yesterday. And then you really saw the pretenders with the Steelers and the Texans. Steelers who got off to that 8-2 start and now have lost 4 of their last 6 games. They've lost their last 3 games to contending teams by 2 scores or more, and could have lost by more to the Eagles if they didn't run out the clock there. And then the Texans, what a mess. What a mess. I had high expectations for them. I had them going to the AFC Championship game, but it looks like this team is going to win at most one playoff game the way they're playing right now. CJ Stroud he's been decent, but he's definitely had a sophomore slump. And you see the offensive line. The offensive line has just been an issue all year long for them, and it was an issue yesterday. What an embarrassing performance for the Texans. They lose 31-10, but we're going to start with the Chiefs and their performance against the Steelers. And the Chiefs were on the Chiefs angle. On the Chiefs side, they were really good. Patrick Mahomes was excellent. He was phenomenal yesterday. The offensive line has improved, especially moving Tooney over to left tackle. Since they moved Tooney over to left tackle, the offensive line has only allowed 1 sack since Tooney has moved over to the left tackle. Just a complete performance by the Chiefs. Their defense was great. Their offense was great. Right now, they look like the favorite, not only to win the AFC, but to me, they look like the favorite to win their 3rd straight Super Bowl. The last 2 weeks, they've been really, really good. And then there's the Steelers. And the Steelers, right now, they look like pretenders. They look like pretenders, The offense hasn't scored more than 20 points in 3 weeks. The defense has given up over 27 points in the last 3 weeks. 3 games where they got beat by 2 scores or more against contending teams. It looks like it's more, and the Steelers might be a little bit better than they've been the last couple of years, but it kind of looks like more of the same for them. It looks like them and the Texans looks like are probably at most going to win 1 playoff game. They're probably going to play in the first round, and it looks like neither team is really going to make a deep run in the playoffs. Looking at what you saw yesterday, but for what you saw from the Chiefs and Ravens, they look like serious Super Bowl contenders.
Well, they do. The starting with the Chiefs yesterday, it looks like like usual, they're peaking right around late December, January. They kind of have figured some things out. They didn't run the ball particularly great yesterday, but Mahomes had one of his better games, I thought, in that passing offense. As they're starting to get a little bit healthier in that area too. So that's big for them, obviously. And the defense has been phenomenal all year, and that's kind of why they have that 15-1 record, because for most of the season it hasn't been their offense that's really won them a lot of games. It's been that defense. So they played really well again. For Pittsburgh, it's kind of been like 3 straight weeks, getting blown out. 3 straight weeks too, kind of just feels like they just give up in the 4th quarter and they're kind of just trying to get out of there. And it's right now they definitely look like a team that probably is not winning more than one game in the AFC playoffs. And on the other side with the Ravens, this defense, we know it had a lot of struggles early on, but throughout the year, this defense got better and better with every week. And yesterday, I know Houston's banged up, the Tank Dell injury too now, and um, they're Stroud's had a tough year so far, late going still late on the year, but yeah, it's been a rough year for the Texans. Their offense couldn't get nothing going yesterday. Lamar Jackson had another really good performance, and is making a run there to try to can get up there with the MVP with Josh Allen. But yeah, Lamar played really well yesterday. That defense is really playing well. So yeah, that's a Ravens team right now that looks like we could see play at Kansas City in AFC Championship game. Them or the Bills. So look like kind of the three right now in the AFC that kind of are the three contenders right now.
Yeah, they definitely are. And more on the Ravens-Texans team as the Ravens won 31-2 yesterday over the Texans. Yeah, Lamar Jackson looked like he's right there with Josh Allen in the MVP conversation. He was outstanding yesterday. He was outstanding. He was great. The run game of Derrick Henry, went over for over 147 yards rushing. And you go to the Texans and you look at C.J. Stroud and losing Tank Dell. Yeah, losing Tank Dell was big, was big, and it looked that way for the Texans for pretty much that entire game. Their offense was not good at all. C.J. Stroud, he was missing like open receivers yesterday. It really affected C.J. Stroud. D'Amico Ryan said, the 3 games in 11 days, no excuse, but there's no denying C.J. Stroud's definitely had a sophomore slump.
Yeah, he definitely has this year because he came on so strong last year, and it's been definitely kind of a tough year, something where and I think last year where they snuck up on a lot of people, Stroud had such an unbelievable year. This year, not so much. I think everybody kind of knew the performance that Stroud had last year, and they didn't catch anybody by surprise because you saw in that playoff game last year when they played Baltimore, they got bull raced. It was 44-17, something like that.
I think it was 34-10. So pretty much close to the same. No, that game was competitive for half, but close to the same result this year. So really no growth from this team.
Yeah, and I know that's been disappointing. I know you were high on. I think I had them losing in the divisional round, I believe. So yeah, it's been tough, and it's been something where it's kind of surprising to see. Yeah, the Texans have not made that jump this year. We thought the running game was going to get better, and I guess it has a little bit. They really couldn't get it going yesterday. But yeah, I think but a ton of credit to Baltimore and the way they've played down the stretch, the way their defense is playing right now. The last 3 weeks, they've outscored their opponent to 133. So they're also kind of peaking right at the right time here. So they're playing well. Lamar's looking right now. He's battling Josh Allen for another MVP award.
Yeah, and I think yesterday showed you that it's a 3-horse race in the AFC. It's a 3-horse race between the Steelers, the Steelers, the Ravens, the Chiefs, and the Bills. It's a 3-horse race, and really the other 4 teams that are going to be in the playoffs: the Steelers, the Texans, the Chargers, and the Broncos, or if somehow the Dolphins, Bengals, or Colts make it, whoever gets that 7th spot, are really pretenders. There's really 3 heavyweights in the AFC, and that's those 3 teams.
Yeah, they are right now, and we saw it yesterday with the Seals and the Texans. I guess maybe if the Bengals could somehow get the miracle. Can you trust their defense with Joe Burrow, the way they could put up points? Like maybe they could find themselves.
And they play Casey tough, but I just don't think they're good enough defensively. And Logan Wilson's out for the year.
Yeah, so that's the problem with them. Burrow's gonna put up points, but yeah, can their defense make a stop in a bit? In the fourth quarter, that's kind of remains to be seen this year. So yeah, it really looks like a 3-horse race, and Kansas City getting that one. Now you only have to you're only gonna have to play Buffalo or Baltimore once, where Buffalo and Baltimore are going to have to more likely play each other and then go to Kansas City too. So, in back-to-back weeks, that's also huge for the Chiefs to kind of get that 1-2 there yesterday, clinching it. So, yeah, it definitely looks like a 3-horse race because the Texans, the Steelers. You kind of thought maybe a couple weeks ago that big game is the Eagles. They didn't play well at all, and they have the last couple weeks. So they definitely kind of seem now that they're probably gonna be the 5. They'll probably play the Texans. Maybe they beat them, but yeah, that's not a team that's going to Arrowhead in the playoffs and knocking them off.
No, I can't see it's Houston or Pittsburgh making a deep run. I can't really see the Chargers have had a really good year, but I just don't think they have they have enough pass catchers to make a deep run in the Broncos, a rookie quarterback, and then even if the Bengals get in the defense, and we know if Miami gets in, they're not making a run either. So it's a three horse race in the AFC, and I'd take probably all three of those teams over any team in the NFC. That's how good I think the top three teams in the AFC are. AFC is very, very top heavy. NFC is a little bit deeper, but it should be interesting to see what happens going forward with especially with the top three teams in the AFC. I think a very good chance we see one of those three in the Super Bowl. But we will move on to tonight's game between the Bears and the Seahawks. Seahawks, this is a must-win game. If they lose this, I think they still have a slim chance at getting a wild card spot. But if they lose this game, the Rams will win the division. So they need this win to win the NFC West. If they lose this, they don't win the division. And I think they come through tonight. I think they come through tonight. The Bears are checked out at this point with Thomas Brown. They've gotten blown out, the last 3 weeks to the Vikings, to the Lions, and since Eberflus has been fired, they've lost 3 games by 3 scores. I think they lose this game by 2 scores. All right, maybe they're a little bit competitive early because Seattle's got to travel all the way to Chicago. But eventually, in the second half, I think the Seahawks are going to take over. I think Geno has a couple touchdowns. I think Kenneth Walker gets it going on the ground. And I think their defense forces a turnover or 2 from Caleb Williams. I'm going with the Seahawks here. I got the Seahawks 27-13 over the Bears. But, Justin, can the Bears really, really, really hurt the Seahawks' playoff chances and end their 9-game losing streak?
I think they keep it close, but I have Seahawks 21-17. The Bears, yeah, you mentioned, they have not played well the last couple of weeks. They've just continued to get off the slow starts, and that's, they tried to crawl back last week against the Lions, just, because they fall behind so quickly in some of these games of late. They've struggled to kind of able to knock one of these teams off. And yeah, if the Bears can get off to a lead somehow tonight, their pass rushers can get pressure on Geno, and maybe that force a turnover or 2 tonight. But I just think in this one, Seattle still has a lot to play for. I do think they are able to go on the road and get it done. I know there's no Kenneth Walker for the Seahawks tonight, but I think somebody else could step up, like Zach Charbonnet. Could have a pretty good game on the ground tonight. So I do think Seattle finds a way to win, but I do think the Bears do fight and keep it close tonight.
Yeah, I think they keep it close for a half. I just can't see them keeping it close for the entire game. Let's not forget the Bears have got off some terrible starts since Thomas Brown became the head coach. Terrible start against the Niners. Terrible start against the Vikings. And they got up to a terrible start last week against the Bears. So they've gotten off some terrible starts. I think this Bears team is checked out. I just don't think that this game's going to end up being a 1-score game, especially with the Seahawks needing to win it. The Seahawks need to win it. So I just can't see this being a Bears game, especially with the state this being a close game. Seeing the state of the Chicago Bears right now.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle did go in there, beat them by 2 scores or something like that. I wouldn't. I do think maybe the primetime game, maybe Caleb Williams kind of does play pretty well. Tries to keeps that offense in it for a bit in this one, and they're able to make some plays against Seattle's defense that is not spectacular. So they're kind of middle of the road in a lot of defensive categories. So yeah, maybe they can make some plays, but I thought we'd see some more fight from the Bears after, Eberflus got fired. It hasn't been the case, but maybe playing at home a Thursday night, Seattle coming across country and, they did go toe for toe last week against the Vikings. They did, could not find a way to win that football game, but yeah, but with this game being something Seattle, I do expect them to win, but I don't know, maybe I do think there still could be a little fight in this Bears team this week.
Alrighty, so moving on to Saturday night's game in the NFC West, and that's between the Rams and the Cards. If the Rams win this game, they win the NFC West, and the Rams could clinch the NFC West if the Seahawks lose tonight. But if the Rams win this game, they win the division. And the Cardinals, their playoff hopes were ruined last week by the Panthers, losing in overtime to the Carolina Panthers. Their playoff hopes were ruined last week. And so for this game, I think, it's a rivalry game. So Arizona, I think, keeps it close early on. But again, I think in the second half, the Rams take over. I think Stafford's going to have a good game. Kyron Williams is going to get it done on the ground. So Stafford will throw a couple touchdown passes. I think the defense that gets pressure on Murray and forces a turnover. I got the Rams here. I got the Rams here by double digits. I got the Rams clinching the NFC West, beating the Cardinals 31-20. But Justin, can the Cardinals spoil the Rams? Can the Cardinals spoil the Rams clinching the NFC West on Saturday night?
I can see them keeping it close, but I do have the Rams as well, 27-23. that Arizona was kind of disappointing last week with the chances still kind of staying in contention there and going to Carolina and losing that football game. I know they battled back, but it's a game you got to win. And I think they're still 1 year away. They still need a little bit more talent. And they have a good draft. I think that's a team that could be, maybe find a way to sneak in the wild card next year. But yeah, I do expect the Rams to win this one. Back to back weeks, they've kind of played in some bad weather games, and hey, they've gotten the job done. And I know last week against the Jets, but you know, still for them, I do, and I know Arizona has given Sean McVay some problems. Like I know first meeting they put up 41 on him, so I do think Arizona finds a way to put up some points. I just don't think it's enough against, I know the Rams are much healthier now than they were when they played back in like week 2 or week 3, and I do think Stafford plays well. I do think they get the running game going, and I do think the Rams clinch the division here on Saturday night.
Yeah, I can see it happening. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? With the Rams starting 1-4, with the expectations the 49ers had, that the Rams would win this division. So Sean McVay has proven why he's a top 5 coach in this league.
Yeah, absolutely he has, and you could argue, yeah, he's like right there. Maybe you could even put him like second, like Tomlin's. You could probably fight, after like Andy Reid, you could probably make a case for him being the second best coach in the sport. And he's only still 38, 39. So he's still one of the younger coaches too in the sport. So, yeah, he's done a really good job with this team and with this roster and, fighting through all the injuries. That offense, is going to put up some points. And, I think the defense too has gotten a little bit better throughout the year as well. Cause I know they gave 42 a couple weeks ago to the Bills, but, I do think the defense got a little bit better and had another good draft from them. And, because they sold their soul for that Super Bowl. They kind of went through last year, kind of a rebuild. But yeah, McVay's done a really good job with the team, and yeah, they should be right back in the playoffs.
Yeah, they got to the playoffs last year. They had that one down year in 22 if they won the Super Bowl, but they got to the playoffs last year. Looks like they're going back to the playoffs this year. Yeah, really good job of drafting by Les Snead, getting the running back Kyron Williams in the later rounds. Then building that defensive line with Kobe Turner and Jared Verse and Fisk out of Florida State. So they've really done a really, really good job of building that defensive line. And looks like there's a very good chance they'll be in the playoffs for the second year in a row. So it looks like the Rams have a really good chance to get into the playoffs. But we will move on to another Los Angeles team trying to get into the postseason. That's the Chargers, and they will head to New England on Saturday to take on the Patriots. And I think this is a close game. I do think this is a close game. I do think Herbert's going to have a good day against the Patriot defense. I think he's going to throw 2 or 3 touchdown passes. I think they'll be able to run the ball with Gus Edwards. I do think Drake May is going to make plays in this game. I do think so. But I think he's going to make that one big mistake like he does a lot of times. Like last week, we threw that pick in the end zone. They had that pick against the Rams, too, at the end of the game, that pick against the Titans. He'll make that one big mistake that hurts the Patriots' chance of winning. I think it's going to be a close game, a one-score game. But I got the Chargers here. I got the Chargers clinching a playoff spot. I got them winning this game 28-20 over the Patriots. But Justin, can Drake May have a big day and ruin the Chargers' chances to clinch a playoff spot?
No, I think the Chargers get the win here as well, 27-17. Yeah, I do think Chargers will be able to kind of, be able to run the football, impose their physicality that they want in this game, and and I just think the Patriots, we've seen it. They haven't been able to stop the run this year. I do think, they're up 14-0 last week and they gave up a 60-yard touchdown run, and that kind of flipped the game. So, yeah, I think the Chargers are going to be able to hit some chunk plays like that against the Patriots. And, yeah, that's what kind of, you talk about with Matt, the one mistakes. And I'd rather have him get those out of the way now, as he's still a rookie here. And, yeah, he'll probably make that one mistake here. But I think he's got the 3rd highest completion percentage of all time from like a rookie quarterback. He's like 68% right now. So
that's really good, especially with the weapons he got around him.
Yeah, especially with those weapons, especially with that offensive line where it always feels like he's got to roll out, trying to make a play. So it's a good sign, and hopefully, again, thing is, hopefully they can upgrade this offense around him next year. And but yeah, the way they fought last week, I think that pretty much clinches Gerard Mayo is going to have his job back next year. So the little unfortunate part, but.
Yeah, we'll see about that. We'll see. Yeah, and the thing is, with Vrabel having interest, it might have made sense to move on from Gerard, but you don't know what kind of. Listen, Gerard, he's had a rough first year, in my opinion, but you don't know. But this is the year where he could struggle. Now, if they're if they're this next year, there's no way he might not even last the season. If they're this next year, and the defense is playing like this, he's definitely gone. But this is the year where Gerard can make mistakes, because if he makes these mistakes next year, he's definitely getting fired.
Yeah, absolutely. And he probably should be. And I don't know if you saw last week, there was like 8, 9 minutes left. He goes for it his own 23-yard line, a fourth down. But
Yep.
then with 6 minutes left, he ends up punting in the Bills' territory. Just like, what is like? I don't know if he was taking a shot at the craft, probably telling him to be more aggressive, and he's like, okay, I'm just gonna reckless here and do it. But and then then says, oh, we're playing the possession game or whatever. So it's stuff like that I just can't. I don't understand with him. But yeah, especially because this roster has to be better next year. You're gonna have a top pick. You're gonna have a ton of cap space. So again, hopefully other like T. Higgins around the league are taking notice of what Drake May is doing, and hopefully would be encouraged to come here and would want to be the number one receiver here. So that's kind of the hope. That's kind of the optimistic answer. So yeah, hopefully him and Ellie, Ellie Wolf don't mess this up here this offseason and put a good roster that's going to be fighting next year for a wildcard spot.
Yeah, they got to be. They got to be fighting. They got to be playing this time of year next year. Patriots got to be playing meaningful football, or changes have to be made in that organization again. But speaking of T. Higgins, his team's got a big game this week against. This is probably one of the biggest games of Week 17. Is we got the Broncos heading to Cincinnati to face the Bengals. Broncos get to the playoffs for the first time in 9 years if they win this game. Bengals trying to keep their season alive. And I think this is going to be a close and competitive game. I do. I think the Broncos will have some success on the ground. I think Bo Nix will play a pretty good game, but I think he's going to get outplayed by Joe Burrow. I think he is. I think Burrow's going to throw 2 or 3 touchdown passes. I think this game comes down to the end with either the ball in Burrow's hands or the ball in Bo Nix's hands, and Bo Nix doesn't get it done. Or it's either Bo Nix doesn't get it done for the Broncos or Joe Burrow does for the Bengals, and that's why I'm going with the Bengals to go to 8-8. I got Joe Burrow winning this one. I know Bo Nix had a really good rookie year, but he's a rookie quarterback facing one of the top 4 quarterbacks in the league. I know the Bengals defense isn't good at all, but still a rookie quarterback going into Cincinnati. I'm going Bengals here. I'm going Bengals 24-20. But Justin, can the Broncos clinch a playoff spot and end the Bengals season?
No, I'm with you here. I got the Bengals 20-21. Yeah, Bo Nix had a really good year. I don't think he's an out-duel Joe Burrow in this one, even with how bad the Bengals defense is. And the Broncos have had a nice year. We've kind of seen them step up in competition at times, and they have struggled. They lost by a touchdown against Pittsburgh in week 2. They lost twice the Chargers this year. They got blown out to Baltimore. They did play pretty tight against KC, but feels like it's been a little bit different of a team when they do play like a true contender, or like a more of a playoff team. So I do think and I know the Bengals are like 7-8, but we do know with that offense, that there's talent there. And I think Nick does play well, obviously against his defense, but I just think out Joe Burrow, better quarterback. He's got the better weapons, and the Bengals do find a way to make enough plays in this one, and they do win the football game.
Yeah, you know what team was really, really happy that the Chiefs won yesterday? The Broncos, because they play them in the last game of the season. And now, say they lose to the Bengals, and the Bengals are 8-8, and they're 9-7. It comes down to those 2 teams in the last week of the season. The Chiefs are probably going to rest their starters. Because let me tell you something. They much rather would have the Broncos in the playoffs than the Bengals in the playoffs. Let me tell you, the one quarterback that the Chiefs do not want to see go to Arrowhead in the divisional round is Joe Burrow. And you saw earlier in the season, they barely beat them. It came down to a penalty at the end of the game. They barely beat them. Let me tell you something. The Chiefs do not want to see the Bengals in the playoffs, because if it comes down to it, I guarantee you this: Carson Wentz is going to be playing next Sunday in Denver, and they're gonna let Denver go into the playoffs.
Yeah. I would not be surprised, since I don't know who likes to play in the preseason games. So I would think he would probably try to play Week 18. But yeah, if it's that scenario, I can't imagine he'd play maybe more than like a series or 2 just to keep some maybe a little bit of the rust off. But they definitely don't want to see the Bengals, because they've been they've been the only team that go to in the AFC playoffs, gone to Arrowhead and be able to knock them off. So yeah, absolutely, that's the last team that the Chiefs would love to would want to see get in the playoffs, and potentially you have to go to Arrowhead at some point throughout the playoffs.
And it's crazy to say that, because the Broncos are a division rival of the Chiefs. They are a division rival, but I mean, but if you're making it for them, if you're giving them the choice of a rookie quarterback, and they probably won't see if the Broncos get in, they probably get eliminated in the first round to the Bills. So you're probably not going to. They probably won't see the Broncos. But let me tell you, if it's the Bengals, there is a chance that they could see the Bengals in the second round. So yeah. So if it comes down to it, there's a chance the Chiefs would be helping the Bengals. They ain't helping the Bengals because they're the one team in the AFC. This is the one. They're the one quarterback in the AFC that has success against the Chiefs. That's Joe Burrow.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, that's the last thing we want to see because that's a team too that will get a shootout, and Joe Burrow is definitely capable of going to Arrowhead and winning a shootout game like that. So, yeah, absolutely. That's the absolute last team that the Chiefs would want to have sneak in the playoffs here. So, yeah, you'd absolutely want to see they rather see the Broncos get in. They probably get eliminated, and yeah, don't have to worry about Joe Burrow coming to Arrowhead and potentially getting the upset win.
Yeah, absolutely. They definitely don't want to worry about that. But if you see which team is more dangerous in the playoffs, I think it's pretty obvious. Even though the Broncos have the much better defense, it's a quarterback league. It's definitely the Bengals, just because of Burrow's experience and the fact that Broncos are going to have a rookie quarterback in the postseason. So if you're asking me, all right, which team's going to make more noise? It's definitely the Bengals.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that because yeah, we've seen Joe Burrow do it before. We've seen him get that team to a Super Bowl, and yeah, that defense isn't great, but yeah, in the playoffs with all those good quarterbacks, that are going to get in, yeah, Joe Burrow is definitely going to be right there, and Joe Burrow, with the ball in his hands in a close game, Joe Burrow is going to be able to go down the field with 2 minutes left and go get you a touchdown late. So yeah, and yeah, it's been a nice year for the Broncos. They've been definitely a surprise. Bo Nix has had a really nice year, but yeah, I think Denver's still like really year away here from contending.
Yeah. They're a year away from being just like the Chargers. They're a year away from being a Super Bowl contender. They are. They're both those. It's gonna be interesting in the AFC West though to have the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Broncos. You have we said this. I think I said this a couple weeks ago. You have the Chiefs with Mahomes and Reed, and then you got the Broncos with Bo Nix and Sean Payton, and the Chargers with Herbert and with Herbert and Jim Harbaugh. So that should be very, very interesting to see how that division is going to be in the next. It's going to be very interesting to see how the division is going to be in the next couple of years. I'm very excited for that. But we got to move on to a matchup in the best division in football right now, and that is the NFC North. And there's a big matchup here as the Packers travel to Minnesota to face the Vikings. Packers clinched a playoff spot last week with their 34-0 win over the Saints. The Vikings, Sam Darnold just keeps doing it. And we got to stop it with, Sam Darnold's not that good anymore. Sam Darnold's had a really, really good season. Lost his left tackle for the year in Christian Darrisaw. I know he's got Justin Jefferson. I know he's got Jordan Addison. I know he's got Aaron Jones. I know it's a really good roster. It's great and really good coaching around him. But he's had a really good year. Last week, down 24-20, got the job done. 2 weeks ago, down late in the game, got the job done. He's proving that he's proving in Minnesota that he's a good quarterback in this league. It's crazy to say it after his first six years with the Panthers and the Jets. And he played as a backup in San Fran last year, but it's crazy to say that he's a good quarterback, but he's playing so well for the Vikings. And I think this is going to be a really good game. I think it's going to be a really competitive game. It's going to go up and down the field. I think Love's going to have a big game. I think he's going to have I think that Sam Darnold's going to have a good game too. But I just think that Love's going to make that mistake, just like he did last time. Last time he made he threw two or three picks, but I think he's going to throw that one bad pick. I think Darnold's going to have a great game. And I think the Vikings are going to keep pace with them. I think they're going to keep pace with the Packers. I got them winning this one 30-27. But Justin, can the Packers get revenge from Week 4 and really hurt the Vikings' chances to win the NFC North?
No, I had the Vikings here too, 23-20. I think the Vikings in this one, they could get ahead early and try to take away Josh Jacobs in that Packers running game. And because I know Packers, two of their tight ends are banged up. I know Christian Watson's kind of questionable in this game as well here. So, and then Minnesota's their pass rush could get after Jordan Love. I know the Packers' offensive line's been really good this year, but we know Flores could really dial some things up and get to him because that Vikings defense played really well. I don't think there's they've been more. I think they're more of a bend but don't break defense. And I do think they can force the Packers to kick a couple field goals in this one. I do think Sam Darnold makes enough plays. And, going back to your Sam Darnold point, yeah, he's had a really nice year here. And it's kind of like Baker Mayfield, where sometimes just a change of scenery, getting out of a bad organization could really kind of could help propel your career and put them in a better spot. And then landing in an organization like the Vikings and with Kevin O'Connell, it's really helped out, Sam Darnold. And yeah, he's about to get himself a lot of money from some team. I don't know who that's going to be. Probably not going to be Minnesota because they have JJ McCarthy in the wings waiting. But yeah, St. Darnold's has had an unbelievable career, and an unbelievable season. Something I didn't think that was going to happen this year.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely been a surprise. The Vikings after JJ McCarthy went down, it's definitely been a surprise, and it's caused the question: what do the Vikings do? I do think they go with JJ McCarthy and they don't re-sign Sam Darnold, but Sam Darnold is going to get at least over $40 million next year for how good he's been.
Yeah, he absolutely will, and he's earned it. Well, yeah, we'll see what team he'll go to. Maybe because Vegas always finds a way to mess up their draft pick. Maybe it's Vegas, which maybe that's not the best for him. Maybe depending on who they hire for head coach. But yeah, somebody's gonna pay him a lot of money here, and yeah, and then he's earned it. And we'll see if he can continue his trajectory that he's kind of been on now.
Absolutely. We'll see what happens there. Now, moving on to the team that is ahead of the Vikings in the NFC North, and that's the Lions. And they will go to San Francisco they will go to Santa Clara to face the Niners. And I think they win this game. This is a rematch of the NFC Championship game last year, but I think the Lions definitely get revenge here. I think the running game, I think they're able to run the ball with Jahmyr Gibbs. I think Jared Goff throws 2 or 3 touchdowns. I think they get into the 30s. And I think I think that San Francisco moves the ball, but I don't think they get into the end zone. I think they continue their red zone struggles. Purdy continues his red zone struggles. I think this is close for, maybe into the third quarter, but in the second half, the Lions pull away. I get the Lions here. I get the Lions going to 14-2. I got the matchup in week 18 between the Lions and Vikings to decide the NFC North. I got them both winning this week. So I get the Lions beating the Niners 31-16. But Justin, can the Niners hurt the Lions' chances to win the North, to win the North and get the number 1 seed in the NFC?
I think the Niners will keep it close, but I have the Lions 30-27. I think the Niners are gonna be able to put up points against the skeleton of the Lions defense. Well, they're injured right now, and yeah, I think Purdy will make 1 or 2 mistakes in this one. I think the Lions will be able to run the football here and do enough on the ground to get this win. But with how banged up the Lions are defensively, I do think Brock Purdy plays pretty well, and I do think the running game gets going in this one. But I just don't think they're going to be able to outscore Jared Goff in this one.
Yeah, I can't see them outscoring Jared Goff. I can't see the Niners do it. It's just been a brutal year for the Niners after they lost the Super Bowl. So many injuries. Purdy has not really taken that next step. He's proved that he's a good quarterback, but when pieces aren't around him, he struggles. I think he proved that this year, even though he's probably getting paid over $50 million because that's how much quarterbacks do get paid today. So that's the reality of it. That's just the market for quarterbacks. But yeah, Purdy proved this year that he's a good quarterback, but if he doesn't have pieces around him, he can't carry a team. That's what he proved this year.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, because McCaffrey's been banged up all year. I know Debo hasn't been totally healthy the entire year. No Ayuk this year. So yeah, we've seen Purdy play well, but yeah, it hasn't been to the level where last year, right around this time, he was right there in the MVP. I know after that Christmas game against Baltimore, he kind of lost it. But yeah, he's definitely showing that he's good, but he's not great. He won't elevate the level that you need to be. But yeah, he's probably going to make a big bag here and make a lot of money. And for a guy who's Mr. Relevant, it's a career that nobody really saw or thought could happen here, especially when they got Trey Lance earlier on. But yeah, so far for Purdy, it's been good. But yeah, it's definitely not in that elite tier of quarterbacks right now.
Nope, not at all. Good player, but yeah, he got to a Super Bowl last year and helped. And was a big reason why they did. But yeah, he's proven why he's going to get the money. But the Niners are going to draft really, really well if they want to continue to be a top team with him. So because Kittle's getting old, Trent Williams doesn't have many years left. So yeah, the Niners are going to draft really, really well around him. And even Debo's, hasn't been playing as well. So yeah, the Niners got to draft really well over the next couple of years to continue to get back to being that top team that they've been the last 3 years. But we will move on to a matchup in the NFC East, and that is between the Cowboys and Eagles. Cowboys have started to play for Mike McCarthy. Last week, they pulled the upset over the Bucs. They've won 4 of their last 5. Who would have thought they went 4 out of 5 with Cooper Rush as their quarterback and beat the Commanders on the road and beat the Buccaneers? So they've been playing better football since the beginning of the year. Mike McCarthy is coaching for his job, and it looks like he could be back with the way they're playing. And the Eagles lost a brutal game last week, had a chance to win the NFC East, lost a brutal game. Jaden Daniels beats him at the end. Jalen Hurts gets a concussion in the first quarter. So I don't know if Jalen Hurts is going to play. This pick could change as the week goes on. I don't know if Jalen Hurts is going to play. I'm assuming that he does, but I do think the Cowboy defense with Deron Bland, it's played better. You saw it on Sunday night. They forced 2 or 3 turnovers. Deron Bland has made a difference for this defense. So I do think they keep the Cowboys in it. It's not going to be like the first game where it was a total blowout, where they had to start Cooper Rush in that game, and it was a complete blowout against the Eagles. So I do think the Cowboys defense keeps them in the game. But I think if Jalen Hurts starts, I do think the Eagles will score enough points. And I just don't see Cooper Rush having a good day against this defense. I think he'll turn the ball over once or twice. I think it's a close, competitive game, but I'm going with the Eagles here to win the NFC East. I got the Eagles 20-13 over the Cowboys. But Justin, can the Cowboys spoil the Eagles' chance to win the NFC East?
No, I had the Eagles here 21-16. Dallas, a lot of credit. They fought and they've been feisty. And if they didn't lose that game, the Bengals, they're still in the hunt for one of those wild card spots right now.
Crazy to think that they'd still be in the hunt if that play didn't happen.
I pointed the Monday Night Football game there. So Dallas, Mike McCarthy seems like he might have saved his job. Cooper Rush looks like a guy who could play, and he's played really well. And I do think if Hurts doesn't play, and I know Kenny Pickett was banged up too, and maybe if he doesn't even go, and it's Tanner McKee, maybe I could see Dallas easily winning this football game. But yeah, like even if Kenny Pickett, I do think he plays well enough. I do think they score enough points. I think Barkley could have a pretty good day on the ground. Like I think can Dallas be able to kind of limit him, try to slow him down at the pace that he's been on. But yeah, I do think the Eagles at home here do find a way to kind of finish this off here and beat a feisty Cowboys team that keeps it close, but just doesn't have enough here to get over the hump.
Yeah, listen, if it's McKee, I think the Cowboys got a really good chance. And, Hurts, I mean, yes, I definitely think the Eagles win. And Pickett, maybe. Because Pickett, even with Pickett, the Eagles, even though they were winning after Jalen Hurts, they were up 14-0 after Jalen Hurts was knocked out, was taken out of the game. I still think they'd have a chance with Pickett. But with McKee, the Cowboys would definitely have a chance. But, but the big question is, if you're the Eagles, do you sit Jalen Hurts? Because, do you play Jalen Hurts this week? Do you play him? And do you rush him back? I would say no, because let's just say you lose this game and the Commanders win. You still have a great chance. You're gonna if you play your starters, you're gonna beat the Giants the next week anyways. And Hurts should be cleared before the Giants game. And if it means something to the Eagles will definitely win that game. So I would say unless he's 100% healthy, unless he's like very really close to 100%, I would sit him this week.
Yeah, no, I don't mind that. I would too. Unless he kind of clears protocol. Like today or something, today or tomorrow. And if he's not fully healthy 100%, because you could pretty much, because they should beat the Giants next week, even with their second team. Like they probably still have a pretty good chance to beat the Giants next week. And I probably wouldn't rush him back. Just because you still are going to clinch. You already have that, and you're gonna have that 2 seed more than likely. So. I would probably rush him this week, and hopefully you have Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett does enough. Or if not, next week you go on the Giants, and with Kenny Pickett as your quarterback, I still think you're going to be able to Giants team that's really not trying to win football games right now.
Exactly. You're 100% right about that, about the Giants. But moving on to the team that is chasing the Eagles in the NFC East and kept their chance to win the division alive last week, beating the Eagles at home, and that's the Commanders, and they play on Sunday Night Football against the Falcons. And in this game, I know Michael Penix was decent, was pretty good last week, but this is a different animal going to Washington on a Sunday night against the Commanders. I think they keep it close early, but he's going to see a lot of blitzes. I think he turns the ball over a couple times. I think Jaden Daniels plays well. The Commanders get the run game going. He plays well. He throws a couple touchdown passes. I'm going with the Commanders here. I'm going with them by double digits. I got the Commanders clinching a playoff spot. I got them beating because the Commander, unless the Bucs lose earlier in the day, Commanders get in the playoffs if they win or if the Bucs lose earlier in the day. But I got the Commanders winning here. I got the Commanders getting to the playoffs, winning this game 24-10 over the Falcons. But Justin, can the Falcons ruin the Commanders, spoil the Commanders clinching a playoff spot and stay on top in the NFC South?
No, I have Washington here as well, 20-20. I do think the Falcons in this one, they could have some success running the football, and I think they're going to try to shorten this game and try to be able to do that in this one. And Mike Penix, somebody too that you could use as because he could do some option stuff with him. We could see Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier have some decent games on the ground, but I don't think they're going to be able to outscore Washington here, where Jaden Daniels should have all day in the pocket to make plays, because we've seen that Falcons pass rush is not great. They haven't forced a ton of turnovers this year, so I think Jaden Daniels on offense is going to have a pretty good night. I don't think Michael Penix is going to be able to do enough here to outduel Jaden Daniels this one Sunday night.
No. Last week was a very soft land. We talked about it last week. You thought it was the right move. I didn't. Very, very. And now you're right so far because they won the way they did. But yeah, this is definitely going to be a bigger challenge for Michael Penix. Now, if they win this week, you're definitely right about them bringing Penix in that spot. But yeah, last week was a soft landing spot. This is a totally different animal. Going to Washington, playing on Sunday Night Football. And I do think he's going to struggle this week, and I do think the Falcons lose. I think the Commanders clinch a playoff spot, and it just shows you Jaden Daniels. You get that quarterback, can change everything. And Jaden Daniels was just so good last week, especially at the end of the game.
Yeah, he was, and it didn't look great early. Obviously, then Jalen Hurts goes down with the concussion, and Washington able to kind of crawl back in that game and find a way to win the football game. But yeah, Jaden Daniels was outstanding, and really that offense. I know they looked good a couple weeks ago against the Titans, but first time in a while, against a good opponent like Philly, that offense was really clicking for the first time in a couple of weeks there. And yeah, Jaden Daniels another phenomenal week, and yeah, he's we've talked about it. He's really turned that franchise around pretty quickly here, and the new owners, the new coach, definitely things are definitely bright in Washington, and yeah, did not, don't think anybody expected them to be in this position that they are right now, and the quarterback is a huge part of it. We saw a couple years ago, Joe Burrow did that Bengals franchise when they drafted him there. So, yeah.
Joe Burrow, C.J. Stroud, even though he's at a sophomore slump, C.J. Stroud, Jaden Daniels, you get that top pick, you get that quarterback, it very easily can change everything.
Yeah, no, it does. And I think even as a Patriot fan with May, I know the record's not great, but you definitely see that things are turning in the right direction, and you kind of know if they could hit on another piece or two this offseason. Because when they decided to put him in, I didn't think he was going to be able to put the numbers he did with everything around him, but he's done a nice job. So even for me, and I think most of the Patriot Nation, it's kind of like, all right, if we have a good offseason, Drake May could kind of flip this organization back to being, hopefully a playoff team in the AFC.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see that. We'll see if they get the coach right. The coach is still, and GM are still a major question mark in New England. But yeah, if you can get a quarterback, Washington showed you this year that you could turn you can completely turn your franchise around. But we will move on to the team that is behind the Falcons in the NFC South, and that's the Buccaneers. And they host the Panthers. This was a close game the last time the two teams played. I think this game will be competitive too. I really like the way Bryce Young and the Panthers have turned things around here. I think Dave Canales has a chance to be the right coach. They're finally getting it right. They're like the Panthers are finally getting it right with Canales and Bryce Young, trying to get it right here with those two guys. I think they compete in this game. I think Bryce Young plays pretty well, but I do think he has a bad turnover, and I think the Panthers have real issues stopping the Bucs running game. That's why eventually I think the Bucs pull away and win this one by double digits. I got the Bucs winning this 27-17, and because I have the Falcons losing, I got them heading into Week 18 as the team that is in first place. I think they take back first place in the NFC South. But Justin, can the Panthers get revenge from Week 13 and keep the Bucs out of first place in the division?
I think they keep it close, but I got the Bucs here in this one, 28-24. I think Bryce Young does play pretty well against the Bucks defense in this one, but you mentioned it. I do think Bucky Irving's going to have a big game on the ground against his Panthers defense, and I do think he can carry him to a victory here in this one. And I do think Baker plays well enough in this one. Maybe he makes a turnover or two, but I do think he should be able to have a good day against this defense, and the Buccaneers do find a way and get back to going on top here in the NFC South.
Yep. I think the Bucks do take over first place in the NFC South. Got a matchup in the AFC East in Buffalo between the Jets and Bills. Now, pretty much the Bills are pretty much all they're playing for is seeding right now because the Chiefs clinched the number 1 seed yesterday. The Jets, they're playing for nothing. They're 4-11, and I think because they're division teams, it'll be close for a half. But eventually, the Bills will pull it away. And I got the Bills here, 24-13 over the Jets. And Justin, I assume you got the same.
Yeah, I got the Bills here 30-16. I know Allen last week wasn't great. I think he hurt his hand at during that one, but they played better in the second half. I do think it's a Jets defense. They should be able to do whatever they want. Yeah, Rodgers probably makes some plays, but just not enough in this one. And I do have the Bills kind of cruising 30-16.
Going from one awful New York team to a New York team that's even worse, and that's the Giants, who are hosting the Colts. The Colts could have a chance, still have playoff hopes going into this game. The Giants, they're trying to avoid their first winless season at home since 1974. It's been an absolutely disastrous season for this franchise. Arguably, their 100th season is the worst in the franchise's history. 2-13, lost a franchise record 10 games last week. It looks like it should be over for Brian Daboll and Joe Shane. And I think, let me tell you something. I think there's one thing I can guarantee you on Sunday: there will be another plane flying over the stadium. I'll guarantee you that. And for the game, I think Jonathan Taylor had a big week this week. He has another big week on the ground. I think Anthony Richardson doesn't turn the ball over, makes the plays he needs to make. And I think Drew Lock, whoever starts for the Giants, but Drew Lock or Tim Boyle or Tommy DeVito turns the ball over a couple times. And I got the Colts winning it. I got to win it by 2 or 3 scores. I got the Colts 27-10. But Justin, can the Giants avoid going winless at home and ruin the Colts' playoff hopes if they still have them going into the game?
No, I get the Colts here 23-13. And I think Jonathan Taylor has a big game on the ground. I assume you saw the way Brian Dable went to go shake Raheem Morris' hand. He had a pretty big smile on his face. That seems like a guy that seems pretty assured that his job's coming back. I don't think I'd be smiling like my job's on the line.
I know, which is crazy. Yeah. That is, I mean, listen, I was a fan of him, but seeing these last 2 seasons, it does not look like he is a coach that you were going to win big with in the end. I know he had a great first year, really good first year, but he won Coach of the Year. But these last 2 years have just been a disaster for him. So I think they should move on. There'll be a plane over the stadium telling the Giants to move on. But yeah, I think the only guy you maybe can make a case for is Shane, but I don't see Daboll coming back. I could see Shane maybe coming back, but I don't see Daboll coming back.
Yeah, I don't think either should be coming back. I think you got to start fresh, bring a new GM, bring a new head coach, bring in their own quarterback, and then let them all 3 start fresh. I think it's the best thing you could do, but I wouldn't be shocked if they let Shane another year. I don't think that, we'll see. But then it's like that new GM may not want the quarterback that you have next year. So that does. So, yeah, I think it would be better to clean house. But, yeah, we'll see what the Giants end up doing here, in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's crazy to think. We thought it was rock bottom in 2021, but it looks like they found a new low in 2024. So we'll see what happens with the Giants over the next couple of weeks. But we got an AFC matchup in Cleveland between the Dolphins and the Browns. Dolphins, very, very slim playoff hopes. Browns, they're fighting for the number 1 pick. They're 3-12. I think that this game won't be under 40 degrees, so I do think the Dolphins will win it. I think they'll struggle a little bit, but I think with the running game of A-Chain, I think it'll be the difference. DTR will turn the ball over once or twice. I think it's close, but I'm going Dolphins here, 20-13. But Justin, can the Browns completely end the Dolphins' playoff hopes?
No, I think the Dolphins find a way to win this one, 20-16. I think Tua plays well enough in this one. I do think the Browns defense keeps them in it, and the Dolphins defense has played pretty well this year, and I do think they find a way here. They probably make a turnover too against CTR. They make a mistake here, and Miami does get the victory here. But I won't be shocked if Cleveland gives them all they can handle this week.
Yeah, it should be a competitive game in Cleveland, even though they have nothing to play for. But we'll wrap up the NFL talking about 2 meaningless games before we get to the college football playoff. We got the Titans and Jags in Jacksonville. I just think because because Jags are at home. I'll take them here. I'll take them here 20-17. Justin, who you got?
I'll take the Texans 21. I mean, the Titans 21-17 here. Jacksonville's trying to tank. I think Mason Rudolph makes enough plays here, and Spears has a pretty good game on the ground, and Titans find a way on the road to win.
All right, we'll wrap up talking about the Raiders and the Saints. I got the Saints here because I just don't see a 17-13 because I just don't see the Raiders winning 2 straight games. I don't see the Raiders winning 2 straight games. So I got the Saints here 17-13. Justin, who you got?
I get to the Saints 2016. Rattler played well 2 weeks ago at home. I think he played pretty well in this one, and I wouldn't be shocked the Raiders win because they love to mess up their draft pick. So wouldn't be shocked they find a way to win this football game.
Yeah, they kind of did last week, beating the Jaguars. We'll see. We'll see if they end up getting to 4 wins this week, which is very possible. Then if they can get to 4 wins this week in New Orleans. So we got an entire quarterfinal. We got the quarterfinals are set in the college football playoff. But before we talk about that, we are going to hear from our friends at JPEG Financial and Shamrock Home Inspections.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? How often are you thinking about it? The team at JPEG's Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies in the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident in your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website and give us a call at 860-430-5397. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. JPEX Financial Group, LLC is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. JPEX Financial Group is located at 78 Eastern Boulevard, Glastonbury, Connecticut. There's no bigger investment than home ownership. And to make sure the house is up to your standards, you need a professional to look it over. Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections is a licensed home inspector and a member of the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors. Brian was a contractor for over 15 years, so he knows how homes should be constructed and how mechanicals should work.
What makes me a good home inspector was the 20 years that I was a home improvement person, doing all the different repairs that I have done and what other people have done wrong that I had to go out and fix. So I have a pretty quick eye on seeing what's right and what's wrong. Before you move, call Shamrock Home Inspections.
Before you make the biggest investment of your life, call Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections at 860-268-2566 or visit shamrockhomeinspectionct.com.
All righty, so the quarterfinals of the college football playoff begin on New Year's Eve. But I think we should start recapping the first round of the college football playoff. And it was a little disappointing with some of the games. You had Indiana getting blown out to Notre Dame. You had an SMU looking like they had no business being, not look good for the committee. SMU had no business being in the playoff, losing to Penn State. You had Clemson keeping it kind of close against Texas. That was probably the best game. And then you had Tennessee getting Josh Heupel getting completely blown out to Ohio State. And the biggest takeaway for me is I think the one team that didn't belong was SMU. I think you saw that was pretty obvious. I know, and it's not like Alabama would have beaten Penn State, but it would have been definitely would have been a better game. And then I think I'm going to be Captain Obvious here. I think they got to stop with this. Given the 4 conference champions top 4 seeds. Just see the thing 1 through 12. I think that's what has to happen. I think that's definitely the biggest change in this is they got to seed this thing 1 through 12, and they need to pick the 12 best teams in college football. Because if you watch that was the one mistake they made was SMU. And if you watched SMU and you watched Alabama, who's the better team? It's Alabama. So I would say, see the 12 best teams and make sure you're picking the 12 best teams to play. Because let me tell you something, SMU is not one of the 12 best teams to play.
If we're doing hypotheticals, why don't we just put in the 12 teams at the 12 best recruiting classes? Like, if we're playing hypotheticals, that's where I'm like, I don't know if you saw Lane Kiffin throughout the day. Well, he could not shut his mouth on Twitter.
Oh my God, he was going crazy. going
Oh yeah, he
crazy.
fell asleep during the Tennessee game though. Nothing about Tennessee. Nothing
Oh,
from
no.
Feinbaum about Tennessee. He gave Tennessee a pass or whatever.
Really, forgetting for
Oh
wow,
yeah,
he's giving
he
a
gave.
pass for getting blown out. Yep.
Oh yeah, but again, Feinbaum being the national college football analyst, he's an SEC fan. He's not a fan of. He's a fan of the SEC. I think I get like with SMU. If Kevin Jennings does take off and run there in that 4th-and-1, they score a touchdown. I think SMU season that was a 28-point swing, the pick six.
Yeah.
I do I thought SMU as a whole played I thought their defense kept them in it. I don't think Allen
Yep.
played well. I thought SMU, outside of Jennings, the rest of the team was not bad. I just thought Jennings kind of got himself in
Jennings
trouble.
was
And
awful.
yeah,
Jennings was terrible.
yeah, he was not great, and I think that affected everything else. But because he had a couple swings in that game, but yes, I know maybe Alabama does keep it close, but they lost by 3 scores a couple weeks ago to Oklahoma. Do we know they keep it close? Again, that's why I hate the hypothetical game. The SEC was not great this year. They didn't have a dominant team. They lost to 6-6 Vanderbilt. But out of all the teams that we complain about, why don't we put maybe Miami should have been in? They went 10-2. They ain't blown up at anybody. Why not them? Why is it the 3 SEC teams and not maybe a 10-2 Miami?
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. It is kind of annoying. I am kind of getting tired of just the SEC stuff. Herbstreit I used to love listening to her. He's turned into John Smoltz. He just hates the sport now. I know because he just does NFL games now. Just if you don't like college football, stick to the NFL. I don't want. I think I'm gonna start muting him. I can't stand listening to him anymore.
Wow.
Because he hates the sport. It seems like.
Yeah.
The wins don't matter. Again, if the wins don't matter, just rank them 1 through 12 with the recruiting rankings, and let's put them on the field. Let's just not play a regular season. Let's just not. I can't stand it. It's actually making me kind of hate college football. I'm just in the next 5 years, I wouldn't be shocked. I just start watching the FCS every Saturday.
Really?
Yeah, it's really starting to bug me. All the SEC stuff. I actually really starting to hate the sport right now. I really am. I can't stand it.
Wow! You're turning against college football. You just don't like the people that complain about the SEC.
Yeah, it's just they all want they want all the SEC teams in the playoffs, and I know they got the big deal with ESPN, and I don't know if that's maybe part of it. I don't know what it is, but everybody's just hating on it. Everybody's trying Lane Kiffin, Feinbaum, everybody's just it's such a SEC bias that I hope Notre Dame beats Georgia by 50. I hope Texas gets smoked by Arizona State. I hope the SEC gets demolished and they look like clowns. I'm really hoping.
Wow! You are not an SEC guy. So yeah. I mean, it's a rough week for the first round of for the college football playoff. But we'll see if the quarterfinals are better, and it will begin on New Year's night as Penn State takes on Boise State. And in this game, I think Penn State wins it, and I think they win it big. I think the run game of Allen and Singletary. I think Aller plays. They're going to be indoors. I know it's kind of a little bit of home field advantage for Boise State, but I think it'll be a 50-50 crowd. Penn State fans are going to travel. I think Drew Aller is a big game. I think the running game of Penn State is they run for over 200. I think they run for 200 yards. I do think Genty will have a couple big runs, but I think he gets contained for most of the game. And I'm going Penn State big here. I'm going Penn State to get to the semifinal. I got him big 41-20 over Boise State. But Justin, can Boise State repeat what happened 18 years ago at the Fiesta Bowl and pull off the huge upset over Penn State?
I think Penn State gets it 34-21. Boise's wearing the uniforms that they wore back in that Fiesta Bowl.
Really?
Wow.
And
they got to play. They got to at least do one Statue of Liberty play. They have to. They got to bring that out.
Yeah.
We'll see. But yeah, I think in this one, Boise State up front on their defensive line, I think they're legit. They're second in the country in sacks. If they can get after Allen on first down, they can get some pressure on them, set them up for second and third and long. I think Boise could have some success in this football game because they give up chunk plays. They're not great in the secondary. They miss a lot of tackles. So I think if Tyler Warren could be a matchup nightmare for against Boise State. I do worry in this one. I think Penn State stacks the box with 8 and say, okay, Genty, you're gonna have, you're gonna have to break 30 tackles to beat us. And Maddox, you're gonna have to make some plays through the air to beat us. And I don't think Boise State's going to be afraid of. Yeah, Penn State's not going to be afraid of that. So I do think Penn State wins this game by 13, but I'm hoping for a close one. I do think Boise State defensive line, their chance in this one, they have to create a lot of havoc.
Yeah, you said it. If they can, you said it, if they can contain Allen and Singletary, they'll have a chance because they'll be able to get pressure on Allen, and who knows what happens. But the thing is are they going to be able to score? Are they really going to be able to score enough? I think if Genty doesn't go for over 100 yards, Boise doesn't have a chance in this game. Boise doesn't have a prayer if Genty doesn't go for over 100 yards. Yeah, you said the game plan for Boise to pull the upset. It's going to be running the ball with Ashton Genty and stopping Penn State's run game. Pretty much, pretty basic game plan. Stop the run. And run the ball, but a lot easier said than done, especially when you definitely are not the more talented team.
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, I know this is not like a huge. I know it's not like I know boys. Their seeding here is 3, but I know obviously you look at the polls, they're not like a top 5 team, but if Boise keeps this thing close, do the first half of this game, just James Franklin get a little tight.
That's the thing. I think Penn State's got to get off to a good start. I think Penn State's got to get off to a really good start. And Penn State's not the best at getting off to good starts. Penn State doesn't get off to the best starts. So yeah, but I think it's crucial for them to get up because they didn't get off to, if you look at some of the games they came back and won. Minnesota didn't get off to a good start. USC didn't get off to a good start. Yeah, Penn State has not gotten off to the greatest of starts. So yeah, if Boise State can get off to a hot start, they definitely that's the biggest thing. If Boise State's this game is a 1-score game with them winning in the fourth quarter, they definitely have a shot.
Yeah, they would. They would. It's a Boise team that's pretty confident, and that does have some talent. That obviously Jetty, one of the best players in the country, and yeah, and again, they really have nothing to lose. Everybody's kind of expecting them to lose this football game. They kind of just go in there. That's why you'll probably see a trick. Maybe see a trick play or two. Maybe the Statue of Liberty play comes out in this one. But yeah, the closer they keep this game on New Year's Eve, yeah, the tighter Penn State gets. Maybe Alec throws a bigger interception or two. And yeah, Boise, Penn State definitely have some fans. Boise will probably have some as well. But yeah, that Penn does that. You probably don't get Penn State fans turning because those are the absolute diehards, and they'll I don't think they turn on or anything. But yeah, the closer that game stays going in the third, fourth quarter, yeah, tighter, the more belief that Boise's gonna have to win that football game.
Absolutely. So it should be an interesting game between Boise State and Penn State on New Year's Eve. Now we'll move on to New Year's Day, and the first game is between Texas and Arizona State. And I think the injury of Tyson is really going to hurt Arizona State in this game. I think pretty much Texas' game plan is stop Bo Scadaboo, and I think that Cam Scadaboo, my bad, Cam Scadaboo. I think it's to stop Scadaboo, and I think they will. I think they'll contain him, and I think their offense is going to have another big day. Ewers going to have a big day. I think Blue and Weiser are going to be able to run the ball, and I think that Texas is going to win this. I think they're going to win it going away. I think it's going to be easier than the Clemson game. I got Texas here. I got Texas in the Peach Bowl, 31-10 over Arizona State, and I got them returning to the college football, returning to the semis of the college football playoff. But Justin, can Scadaboo run Arizona State to the semifinals of the college football playoff?
I got Texas 30-20 or 30-23. Yeah, so you don't have much belief here in the Kenny Dillingham and the Sun Devils.
No. I don't have much belief in the Sun. I know they played really well in the Big 12 championship game, but I don't have a ton of belief in the Sun Devils.
Yeah, and this is a big difference too for Arizona State between that 3 and 4 seed because if they're the 3, they're playing in their backyard in in the Fiesta Bowl.
And they're facing Penn State instead of Texas.
Yeah, that too, and because now they're in Georgia, and it's gonna be a more pro Texas crowd than Arizona State crowd too. So, kind of huge there for Arizona State, and yeah, in this one, I think Arizona State, their only chance to win this football game is they got to win a shootout because they're not going to win a rock fight against the Texas team. I do worry a little bit how they're going to handle Texas up front. I don't think they've seen a team like this all year. That's where I'm a little concerned. And yeah, you mentioned the Tyson injury is going to hurt. Stovall, he stepped up and had over 90 yards in the Big 12 championship game. They're going to need those type of guys. They're going to need him to kind of step up, make some plays. And yeah, Kate Coleman played pretty well. Last week, I think Sam Levitt could make some plays. I just don't think I don't think Arizona State's seeing the receivers that Texas has. I think Bond's going to play. It sounds like he will, but especially if he does, it's going to make it much more challenge for Arizona State here. I think they keep up early, but they have to they got to match Texas score per score. Every drive down the field, they have a chance to win this game.
Yep, definitely, absolutely. But I think Texas is clearly the better team, and I think they move on to the Cotton Bowl and get to the semis of the college football playoff. But now we have the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl, and we got an outstanding matchup in the Rose Bowl. Arguably the best quarterback in the country in Dylan Gabriel versus the best overall team, I think, in the country in Ohio State. It was crazy they lost to Michigan because against Tennessee, they looked amazing. They looked like the team everyone thought they were going to be in the preseason against Tennessee. They dominated Tennessee, winning it 42-10. But I think in this game, I think it's going to be close and competitive, but I'm going to go with Oregon again. I'm going to go with the better quarterback here. I think Dylan Gabriel outplays Will Howard. I think Will Howard makes a mistake or two. I think they contain the running game of Travian. I think they are able to run the ball, but I think they don't run it all over Oregon. I think they contain that running game of Henderson and Junkins. I think Jordan James won't have as good of a game, but I think he'll still have a pretty good game. I think it comes right down to the end. I think this is a classic Rose Bowl where Gabriel leads a game-winning drive and gets Oregon to the semifinals. I got Oregon get to the semifinals and upsetting Ohio State. I got Oregon winning this game 27-24 over Ohio State. But Justin, can Ohio State get revenge for what happened in mid-October and get to the Cotton Bowl, get to the semifinals?
I have the Ducks here as well, 35-31. I expect this game to just be like the last one where it was a tennis match. I think a lot of points. I think, it's very possible the last team with the football wins this football game. And, for Ohio State, can you make Dylan Gabriel uncomfortable? Because throughout the year, he's gotten better throughout the season. I know he looks, he had some struggles early on. There were a lot of injuries kind of start the year, but can Ohio State make him uncomfortable? And for Ohio State, yeah, that looked like the team we've seen. And hey, Oregon's got Phil Knight as obviously is a big booster. He can create those Michigan uniforms for Oregon in this one because whenever Ohio State sees those the wing tee uniforms, they shrivel up. So hey, Phil Knight can create those for the Ducks this week. But yeah, I expect that was Howard's best game I think he played in his entire career. Now you have that on film too for the Ducks, so now it's not they're not going to be surprised that hey they could air it out. They're going to use Jeremiah Smith and a Jigba and have some big game or have a huge game in this one. But I think too. I know too. Like it's probably unfair that Oregon's got to see Ohio State now, but this is probably the most healthy Oregon's going to be the rest of the playoffs. Like you probably want them now coming off a bye here. Ohio State just played, so maybe. I get it. You don't want to see Ohio State in the spot, but maybe for Oregon, there's a little bit of an advantage here that rather see them now, than maybe a couple of weeks when you got a couple other guys banged up. So I think this should be a great game. I think it should be another throw like it was about 2 months ago, but I do think the Ducks pull it out again.
Yeah, you talk about seeing Oregon seeing Ohio State now. That just shows you how the one seed is at such a disadvantage in this tournament. I mean, you're the number one overall seed, and you got to play the 8th seed. Look at Penn State's path. Look at Texas's path. They have much easier paths to the semifinals than Oregon. That's why this seeding has got to get changed.
Yeah, and I think it will. And I think too, I think last week should have been a week where you play neutral sites and give the 1 through 4 seeds a home field advantage this week.
Yeah.
Instead, I don't know if that's possible.
Could you imagine Penn State going up to the blue field at Boise?
Yeah. Oh, that would be great. They'd have such an awesome
atmosphere. It's not possible because of all these New Year's Day bowl games. That's why.
Yeah. That's the problem because the Rose Bowl does not want to leave that. They got to have their sunset.
They never change. They've screwed up so many things in college football because they never want to change.
Nope, and that's why we're probably not going to get the Sugar Bowl to kick off probably till after 9 o'clock on New Year's Day too. So that's to be another late one. But yeah, that's the one caveat that probably why we shouldn't get changed. But I do think too, the 1 through 14, I think should have the home field advantage, but that's the thing. It'd be tough to do because of the New Year when the all those bowl games happen.
Yeah, exactly. And I know this question's has been asked for a while, and it looks like he is safe. But if Ryan Day loses, do they move on from him? Seeing how many big games he's lost at Ohio State. I mean, you look at all the big games he lost. You know, the 2019 semifinal game to Clemson, the 2020 national championship game to Michigan 4 years in a row, the 2022 semifinal game to Georgia. All these big games he lost. If they lose another big game, are they going to move on from Ryan Day with Mike Vrabel out there? But it looks like Vrabel's going to get an NFL job though.
Yeah, I do think they're going to stick with Ryan Day now. I think after the way they played last week and the way they fought for him, I know the guys was it Jack? I don't remember who. I know in the post game, there's a couple guys made the comment like, for the last few weeks, people getting on us about the Coach Day, and that we were going to quit and the way we played, and we were pretty PO'd, and we wanted to really come out and make a statement, and they did. So I don't think they quit on Day. I think if they lost, it definitely would have happened. But I think too, with his buyout, with the Tire Stats buyout, it's close to 100 million. So I don't think Ohio State has that money to get rid of him either. So I do think he gets another year, and we'll see. And I think at this point too, maybe if they lost last week. Well, no, because I thought maybe there was a chance he'd try to take a soft landing somewhere else, like maybe like the North Carolina job. I thought maybe could be possible for him, but I don't think. I think they'll keep him now, and I think he's pretty safe, and as long as they don't lose by like 40 points, which I don't see that. That's very. Don't think that's happening.
Yeah, no. I think this is going to be a great game. It's going to be a great game. This will definitely be outside of the national championship game, and maybe even more than the national championship game, the most watched college football game of the year. New Year's Day, 5:00. It's going to be so exciting to be on your couch to watch the Rose Bowl. It's just going to be so exciting to watch these two teams play.
Yeah. Yeah, well, because I think Ohio State going in obviously had the most talent. They were right there with Georgia neck and neck, and Oregon's been the best team so far this season. So we got two. Definitely maybe the national champion wins this football game here too on New Year's Day. So it's two probably best football teams right now in the country, and conference game, the Rose Bowl, Pasadena, all the pageantry that game has. So it should be a great game. Should have great ratings, and hopefully it lives up to the hype like it did. When they played out Eugene early in the year.
Absolutely. So we'll wrap up with the final game, and that is the Sugar Bowl between Notre Dame and Georgia. Now Carson Beck's going to be out. It's going to be Gunnar Stockton, who helped Georgia come back and beat Texas in the
SEC championship game.
In the SEC championship game. So I think in this game, I think it's close and competitive. And I do think Notre Dame will be able to run the ball with Jeremiah Love, but I think they will contain Jeremiah Love. I think Georgia's defense will do that. I think they force a mistake from Riley Leonard. I think Gunnar Stockton makes less mistakes than Riley Leonard. I think Etienne gets it done on the ground. I think Georgia runs the ball a little bit better than Notre Dame. I think it's close and competitive. I think the home crowd being in New Orleans, there'll be more. Notre Dame travels too, but I think Georgia will have a little bit more fans than Notre Dame. I think it's close and competitive, but I'm going to go with Georgia here. I'm going to go with the Bulldogs. Tough to bet against Kirby in a big game. Just tough to bet against Kirby in a big spot when he's not playing Alabama. Outside of that one time he won the national title, when he's not playing Alabama, it's very, very tough to bet against Kirby in a big game. That's why I got Georgia getting to the semifinals and winning this game. I got Georgia winning this game 23-20 over Notre Dame. But Justin, can the Irish pull off the upset and get to the semifinal for the first time since the COVID year in 2020?
I am going to take the Irish here, 24-20.
Wow, going with the Irish.
Yeah, be their first major bowl game win since the '94 Cotton Bowl.
Who would they beat in that? A&M. I don't know if that's even that major of a win. I think it would probably be one of their biggest wins. If they win this game, it would probably be their biggest win since this is going way back, since they beat Miami in that Catholics versus Convicts game in '88.
Oh, yeah.
When they won their last national title.
The title. Yeah, it could be. But it shows you how long it's been for the Irish in this spot, which I am nervous. I don't think Gunnar Stockton's sack rate either. Wasn't impressed with him. I know he came in a tough spot in the SEC change game. That interception he threw towards the end of the game got that thing to overtime. I think Riley Leonard can make enough plays in this one. I think with his legs, like Haynes King did in the Georgia Tech game a couple weeks ago against Georgia, he had a big game. My worry too for the Irish here is they lost their best defensive tier lineman in Riley Mills. So now Notre Dame's a little bit small up front. But Georgia really hasn't been as good as they've been the last couple of years running the football.
No, they haven't
And
been.
no, they haven't. And I do think Notre Dame secondary's played pretty well. I think Kirby in this one is gonna make the Notre Dame quarterback wide receivers trying to win the one-on-one battles in this one. But I think Notre Dame, I I do think Leonard makes enough plays, and I think the difference is with his legs in this one. I do think he makes enough plays, and I do think the Irish, because we've seen it. The Irish, if they can get pressure on the outside, or on with their edge guys, we've seen Georgia kind of struggle in that area, of protection this year. And if Notre Dame can do that, get a couple sacks, maybe get like a strip sack in this one, I think the Irish do win this football game. I am been going back and forth on this one, but I think the Irish finally snap it in their streak here, because I think it's been like 10 straight like major bowl games that they've lost, or playoff games, I believe it is. Um, like being in the spot. So I do think the Irish get it done here.
I've seen it happen too many times in Notre Dame in my lifetime. They always lose the big bowl game. Ever since you got the national title game where they got embarrassed by Alabama in 2012. Then you got the game where they got blown out to Clemson, and then you got the game in 2018. In 2020 they get blown out by Alabama again. So I just seen it.
Yeah,
so many times with Notre Dame in a big spot. I think they're close here, but I think I'm still going to go with the SEC team. I know Carson backs out, but I'm still going to go with Georgia. I'm still going to go with the SEC team here.
Yeah, I could totally see it. And that I think it was 2021, that Fiesta Bowl. Remember, they got up to 21-0 Oak State, and they blew it. They blew that game. I think they lost.
Yeah. They couldn't even beat Oklahoma State in a big game.
Yeah. Yeah, and they were cruising up early. I looked at they were only by 40, and yeah, they blew it. So, yeah, it's been kryptonite here for the Irish over the last, close to 30 years now. They've not been able to get it done. But, yeah, I think this is finally time. I think you're getting a Georgia team that's banged up. I know the Irish are too, but, first start too for Stockman in this game. Maybe the Irish find a way. So I wouldn't be shocked if Georgia wins, but, Notre Dame's got to win one of these games eventually. And I think they finally find a way here next week to get it done New Year's Day.
I just can't see a team that lost to Northern Illinois win a national title. I just can't see it. I can't even see a team that lost to Northern Illinois at home get to the semifinals. I just can't see it happening.
Yeah, it's a totally different team. I think it was a team that didn't take Northern Illinois seriously, coming off the A&M win. That was a big win for them. They've taken care of business since. It's been a different team since then. I think Leonard's gotten better throughout the year, and I think they make enough plays. I think Freeman gets that. Yeah, this would be a signature win that I think he's been looking for. That he's really needed. So
yeah, it would be a signature. If he gets it, it would be a signature win. If he gets it on New Year's on the night of New Year's Day, it would be a signature win.
Yeah, it absolutely would. And I think he finally gets that victory with the Irish.
All righty, so we'll see what happens. Should be interesting. Should be a very interesting day on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day for the quarterfinals of the college football playoffs. So we will wrap the show. It was a big day NBA yesterday, but the biggest story in the NBA was Jimmy Butler and him not requesting a trade, but preferring that he would be traded by the February 6th deadline. And really, I'll give you my 4 best fits for him. I think number 4, I think is the Rockets. I think it's a young ascending team with Jalen Green and Fred VanVleet and Şengün. It's a young ascending team that could use a guy, especially a guy who's been so good in the playoffs. They could use a guy like that. So I'd say the Rockets. But the only downside is they're going to have to give up stuff. And this is a Rocket team that still wants to keep their draft picks and make their team better. Number 3 is the Mavericks. They probably would have been higher if Luka didn't get hurt yesterday and wouldn't miss time. Because imagine Luka and Jimmy Butler on the same team in the postseason with Kyrie, with Klay Thompson. That would be a really good fit there. Number 2, I'm going to say the Warriors. Steph needs another guy. Man, I know he's got Kuminga, who's played pretty well. Wiggins has played pretty well, but Steph needs another guy. Steph is still playing at a very, very high level. He's still arguably a top 5 player in the league. Steph needs another guy with him. I think Jimmy Butler would be a good fit there. And then lastly, I'm going to go with the Suns. If they could, it probably means they trade Bradley Beal, but a big 3 of Durant, Booker, and Butler. Butler's an upgrade over Bradley Beal. So I would say, right now the Suns would be the best fit, but the other 3 teams would be pretty good fits as well.
Yeah, my 4 for Jimmy and Butler. At 4th, I got the Spurs with Wembanyama. I know they have Paul. Stephon Castle's been pretty good this year. They can add kind of another shooter in that spot. I think Jimmy Butler could be good for a team that's not ready to contend yet, but they're getting closer there. And I think a guy like Butler, veteran guy, a lot of playoff experience, I think could help that team out. My third one, same as you here with the Dallas Mavericks. Yeah, with Luka going down, the calf strain, maybe that kind of puts a hold on things, maybe a little bit. But I think he'd be a pretty good fit with that team. They get another scoring option there. Second, the Warriors. I know they already got Dennis Schroeder. They're starting to play better after they kind of got off to that rough start there. They got some younger guys like Buddy Hield got off to an unbelievable start, but Buddy Hield, I've said it for years, he's an experience, night in and night out, but he could be very but hey, the Warriors right now with the Western Conference, like outside the Thunder, I think it could be kind of open for that second spot there. So I think they could add something like that. Maybe they make one more push at this thing. Then my number one fit, I have the Houston Rockets here. Yeah, young team, but they've been playing pretty well. I believe he's from Butler's from the Houston metro area as well.
Yep.
So so that'd be a spot probably where he really wants to go. You mentioned it's a young team. It's a team that's really played well this year. They got some shooters with like Reed Shepard, and they got a lot of young talent. So I think adding another kind of veteran star like that would be a really nice piece. I know right now they're sitting there second, but pretty close between them, the Grizz, the Mavs, even Nuggets, Lakers, so only a couple games back of second.
Yeah, we'll see what ends up happening with Jimmy Butler. But that's going to wrap it up this week on Sports Talk with R&J. For Justin and Alfrio, I'm Steve Risser. We will be back next week recapping the quarterfinals of the college football playoff and previewing week 18 of the NFL season. Have a great weekend and a happy new year, everyone.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Stinky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.